Are you ready to party? The Sagittarius full moon is here to kick it off. I'm Catherine Urban. I'm an astrologer with over 16 years of astrological practice, immersion, and study. And I'm going to be taking everything I know to help you feel as prepared as possible for these next 2 weeks. We're going to look at the full moon chart and we're going to discuss all of the most important astrological aspects that fall within that 2-week umbrella period. So let's pull up the chart and get into it. Behold our fabulous full moon chart. We've got the moon at 20 degrees of Sagittarius in 39 minutes, culminating to fullness on June 11th, 2025. So full moons, look at the visual experience of the full moon. The moon is in its full view. It's fully illuminated where we can see it. And that's what's happening for us on this Sagittarius full moon. Something is coming into full value for us, full perspective. We're able to see something in a way that we hadn't taken stock of quite in this way before. So what is the thing that's coming into view for us is our belief system, our perspectives, the stories that keep us afloat, the stories that elevate us, the stories that we tell ourselves. And, sometimes our ideologies elevate us, giving us something to aspire toward. And they put the wind in our sails and they keep us aspiring for something more altruistic or something moral, something to strive for, something to live for. Like, what gives you meaning? What gives you purpose? Like, what is the purpose behind everything that you do? Like, is it because you strive to be a good person? Is it because you strive to be here to win? Is it because you strive to make an impact in whatever way, shape, or form that might be? We have these various ideologies that keep pushing us forward, ideally. But there are other ideologies that reinforce our shadow a little bit. There's times where we kind of get stuck and we're not consciously certain about how to move forward. And sometimes it's not always about moving forward. Sometimes you need to be in the muck for a minute because that's how you really grow some roots and that's how you really can blossom. So there's no judgment here at all. We are all having our own timeline. We're all in our own seasons. But this might be a time that really brings into full view how some of our ideologies have been sort of creating like an echo chamber of reinforcement, and how some of the things that we're most uncomfortable about, that we have like the most shame about and the most insecurity about, how some of those beliefs that we carry with us set to reinforce those instead of setting us free. And I'm talking about sort of like two extremes of how our ideologies and how our perspectives and philosophies can serve us. And that's so apropos because Sagittarius is a mutable sign. So there's like these two potentials. So you could very well be having revelations around how some of the beliefs and systems that support your growth, your well-being, are both in support of you as well as reinforcing and sort of making excuses and holding you back. And I can personally look at like my own experience with, let's say, a discipline that I studied separate from astrology, and how it served me in so many beautiful ways, but it also really contributed negatively. And that's just a little impersonal, without going into too many details, example about how this perspective around this full moon can bring things into view. It can be yes and. Things don't have to be extreme in one way or another. And that's the beauty about Sagittarius too, is the openness, the seeker quality, the part of us that aims to continue growing and adventuring and venturing out, exploring, taking in new experiences, new information. So we may be also gathering some new inspiration around this full moon, around our collective journey and where we want to go to next. Like, this would be a really beautiful full moon to plan a trip or sign up for a class, which is the perfect time to tell you all about how I'm running a course. I'm starting up a new course. It's a riff on one I've taught for the last several years. And we're calling this course Time Lords and Transits. So it's an emphasis on predictive techniques. We're going to be talking about transits with a special emphasis on annual perfections and the importance of the Time Lord when judging transits. So we're going to be starting that course in August. You can get the early bird rate on that course now through the end of June. So go ahead to my website and you can find out all the information about that course and you can sign up right there. So yeah, this is a really great opportunity to set goals under this full moon around how you want to expand your knowledge or gather new experiences. But wait, there's more. There's so many layers to this lunation chart. So this full moon is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter has just entered the sign of Cancer. So this is a whole year-long transit of Jupiter in Cancer. Think about where Cancer is in your natal chart. Think about where Sagittarius is in your chart too, because that's another way to bring in the personal around this full moon interpretation. But think about your Cancer house, because there's been a lot happening there. There's a big, long Mars drama happening in the sign of Cancer, and it created a lot of space for you. Mars retrograde in Cancer was about pulling back and rethinking about your plan of attack and the things that you desire, the things worth protecting, and your goals, and sort of reformulating around those. And Mars often severs things, it cuts away, it clears. And it's made room for this magnificent Jupiter in Cancer transit, which is now spotlit under this lunation. So even though we have a full year to work with Jupiter in Cancer, we're getting a big giant. I'm laughing because my son always says big giant. He's learning to talk. It's so cute. But we're getting a big giant introduction into Jupiter in Cancer right here, right now. So when it comes to our ideologies and what's shifting, what's evolving, what's developing, what we're letting go of, we're ready for something new. We're ready for something new with that Jupiter. And when I say what we're ready to let go of, yes, we're in a square with the lunar nodes. So even though Jupiter was the one who was just squaring the lunar nodes, it's this lunation sort of brings that energy back up to a higher pitch. I've been thinking about Jupiter square the nodes as well as this lunation square the nodes around our morals, our philosophies, and what we choose to support in the world. And what we choose to support not just with our mind, our words, our heart, but with our dollar. There's been a lot of protests recently, economic protests. And I've been hearing a lot about how people who are choosing not to shop at Target anymore, it's really having an impact. So that's just an example of how I think Jupiter's been in a square to the nodes, and we get to make more choices like that here, what we're choosing to align with and support, not just with our dollar, our voices, but our energy, our consciousness, our attention. Pluto is in Aquarius right now. There is a war on basically where our attention goes and what those various platforms / echo chambers gain by reinforcing ideologies. So this is a really big deal. You may choose to create boundaries with how much time you spend on a device that's listening to you, for example, something I'm always thinking about. And we're going to see this publicly too, because we've got the sun square the nodes, we've got the moon square the nodes. So we're going to see this on the world stage too. We're going to be seeing some leaders duke it out during this period. I mean, it's already happening as I'm recording this on the 5th of June. And Mercury has just started to come within orb of Jupiter. There are daggers being thrown almost literally. So this is going to be one where there's a lot of outspoken energy here. It's already happening, but as you can see, Jupiter and Mercury are still conjunct in this lunation chart. So it's going to be very public, like where people are in alignment, where people do not support, and what people oppose and what people favor. So get ready. I mean, Sagittarius energy is known to be a little chaotic. It is, like, as much as we love thinking about Sagittarius as the philosopher, the comedian, it's got a bow and arrow. So there's also a little feisty side to this archetype. And we're going to see it. We're going to see that sort of like chaotic, sort of attacking, motivated by this like belief sector. We're going to be seeing that a lot. But more on Jupiter, because this is a really big deal. Jupiter is at 0 degrees Cancer. We're ready for something new. And when we think about what's important to us, what we value, what we feel is important to align with in the world in terms of like our morals, care. Jupiter and Cancer, care, families, nurturing. Like, I would love to see more people run on the platform of like help families, help feed people, you know, protect children. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of perspectives there around protecting children. Yeah, so I think we're going to be hearing a lot of that, of like protect children, something with food, like clothing people, nurturing people, supporting people. All of that is there with Jupiter and Cancer, and we're going to be starting to hear from it in a big way. Now, here's the thing though, is that Jupiter, as much as we're excited about Jupiter and Cancer and all the bounty that it hopes to promise, first it must go through this difficult square with Saturn and Neptune. And I just had the fortune of joining a panel hosted by Adam Ellenboss, as well as joining in conversation with 8 other amazing astrologers in the field. And I reposted that video with Adam's permission on my channel. You can go ahead and watch that. We go into a lot of detail about the Saturn-Neptune conjunction. But briefly, for our purposes here, a big part of what Saturn-Neptune represents is a collective disappointment, a collective need to grieve the old order, the order that no longer supports. And I think a lot about the dream. A lot of people are saying like the American dream is dead. That's a Saturn-Neptune mic drop right there. Saturn-Neptune, like this is the reality check. Like, yeah, the world is asking things of us, various people at different parts in their journey through life, but the world does not also support that. So Jupiter, I think, is like the yearning for that support and having to reconcile that support isn't offered. And like, I think about Jupiter and Cancer as like this experience of what paradise could be. But we have to recognize what's standing in the way of that. This is a highly intuitive lunation too. So I want to make sure that as much as there's going to be a lot of chatter, a lot of loud barking chatter everywhere this month, there's going to be a lot of arguing, I think. I mean, Mars is definitely in a trine with that full moon. Mercury in Cancer, Jupiter in Cancer, this is intuition. This is dropping into that sacred listening space in the heart, the intuition, the all-knowing wisdom of your body. Like when you just tap in, like, I'm always amazed by some of the things that come out of my daughter's mouth. And I mean, she's a Taurus. Taurus is another one of these signs. It's just very perceptive and grounded and just knowing things without having to be like told or shown, just like knowing things. And I think there's a deep knowing that we can drop into under this 2-week lunation. And here, like, I would advise to listen more than you speak under this when you're feeling it. And this is a really great time to visit sacred spaces that activate that sense of spiritual connection within you. This is a really great time to fire up your rituals too. Get into ritual space, whether you're talking with God, with the universe, with various deities that you may be in relationship with the earth, with your local spirits, with the animals, with your family. I mean, people. This is a great time to create rituals around food and caring for other people, feeding other people, sharing in that community experience. And something I think so much about this, like Saturn and Aries, is that a lot of times there's this sense of defeat that it's not going to be done for you. Like no one else is going to do it for you. So to do the uncomfortable work, to be thrust into doing the work that you don't feel quite ready to take on, but now you must. So I think we're going to be getting a lot of insight into that. And I think this aspect is going to help us do the critical work of mourning what could have been but isn't, collectively, and thus personally. We have to grieve that first in order to start dreaming of bigger and better worlds. Okay. I think that's everything I wanted to say here. Let me move along. We're going to animate this chart. We're going to go forward. So we're going to go forward to the 15th of June. On June 15th, the planet Mars, at the very end of Leo, like we've been working with Mars in Cancer and Leo for a very long time, since September of 2024. We are ready for this energy to shift. But right before it does, Mars is going to reach a perfect square with Uranus. This is rebellious energy. This is break free, breaking the law, breaking the rules. This is radical, going out on a limb, risk-taking, courage. This could be sort of like accident prone, like caution to the wind, like just automatic go for it. So this is very erratic. This could be destructive, but it could also be like major acts of liberation going on here. So I think of like a strong revolutionary current here, but this could also be like vandalism. So I'm sure that we'll see this showing up in a big way on the world stage, but also locally. So keep an eye out for Mars square Uranus and be careful on the road, because I think this is going to be a day where people are driving a little extra crazy. Then, and I'm just going to stay with Mars here. So we're going to click forward. We're going to go to the 17th, but I'm going to go even further because of my chart. So on the 17th of June, Mars is going to enter Virgo. This is so exciting for us. This is finally a new Mars flavor that we haven't seen in like 9 months now. So crazy. So we've got Mars going into Virgo, and this is a time where we can get inspired by the process. We can get inspired by organization. This is a really great time for home projects. This is a really great time for figuring out a plan about like how you're going to attack something, how you're going to make something happen. Virgo is heady. It's cerebral. It's all about the plan of attack and the different pathways of possibility and trying to work our way through those. So this is kind of brainy, kind of nerdy. This is really great for any kind of like organizing, any kind of project. And this is just me, but I'm probably going to be asking my husband or encouraging my husband to build some organizational shelves in the basement, because that's been a vision of ours since we moved in. Hasn't happened yet, but I think Mars in Virgo is the perfect time for that. And this is a really great time for anything research related. So all you astrologers out there, all you mathematicians out there, all you writers, like this is really great for that kind of project, research, writing, etc. So I'm going to back it up a minute. We kind of talked about this in our lunation segment, but I do just want to highlight one other thing. So on the 16th here, I think it actually happens on the 15th too. On the 15th, yeah. Jupiter is going to reach an exact square with Saturn and Neptune. But Saturn's the important one, because prior in 2024, Jupiter had two other squares with Saturn. And Jupiter was the planet that wasn't doing as well. And that's where we saw challenges with universities. That's where we saw challenges with like early education, benefits for children, because the iron hand of Saturn said no, like we're not just giving that away. And now I just want to say Saturn is the one that's in trouble. The tables have turned a little bit. So with Jupiter in Cancer saying, no, we need to care for people. And Saturn's sort of being like, okay, like we're falling in Aries now. I don't know if everyone is trusting our plan anymore. I wonder if we're going to see something emerge like that. So just wanted to bring that to our attention, that when Jupiter and Saturn square, it's 3 times. This is the third, but there's been a sign change. So we're going to see a completely different flavor here. So very cool. All right. So moving to the 18th, Jupiter also reaches that official square with Neptune. And while I do think of this as a whole, like we can't look at Saturn and Neptune as separate, I will kind of isolate this aspect for right here and say that this is really beautiful for envisioning. This is really beautiful for feeling spiritually connected to something. But just know that that presence of Saturn is there. And Saturn is saying, this is why you need to have that connection with spirit. Like you're feeling at a loss in the material world in certain respects. And so there is a need to connect to that higher ideal, that higher connection. And it's so funny. Like I was on this airplane going to Norwalk recently, and I sat with a couple of missionaries. They were like an older missionary couple. And, you know, I'm real respectful. Like I really want to hear about other people and the things that they're passionate about. And I could talk about religion with people, and I actually love it. But then they started asking me like why I believe in astrology and how I should eventually find Jesus and all that. And I real cordially said, you know, I'm so glad you found something that gives you so much meaning in the same way I have. But, you know, when the plane got turbulent, I'm thinking like, I'm so glad I'm next to these godly people. And I know I'm praying to God when the plane gets turbulent. So it's kind of like one of those experiences too, of like, you know, you reach for the help when you need it, basically. So think about your spiritual resource system here at this time. It can help elevate, it can help pull us out of the heaviness that so many of us are experiencing right now because of this aspect on a collective and personal level. So moving right along, I mean, the sun is going to enter Cancer. Cancer season is here. The summer solstice is here. It actually enters Cancer on the 20th. That's in my time zone. So for you, it may be the 21st, but I know for a lot of people, it's the 20th this year. And so the sun enters Cancer. Cancer season is here. Summer solstice is going on in the northern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere, we've got the winter solstice. And part of the rationale of the moon ruling the sign of Cancer in this first month of summer is that it's some of the brightest and warmest months. And also Cancer being a sign of nurturing and sustenance, and everything, all the plants are now like bearing fruit. So this is a fruitful season. This is a fruitful season and a time of community, really. Cancer, like caring for yourself, caring for each other, caring for your garden, caring. And right away, the sun is going to ignite this ongoing square with Jupiter, Saturn, and Neptune. So this is going to be real interesting to watch leadership and watch who rises, who falls, who's making the statements that people are responding to and getting behind, and who is flailing. Because we're going to see a lot of major leadership challenges with Saturn in Aries. Like people just aren't matching up to what they thought they were going to be. People are not matching up to the ideal. And similarly, unexpected people, underdogs, young people, people with alternate points of view and maybe alternate backgrounds are rising to the challenge. So make sure to pay attention to that. We're also going to see the sun align with the heart of Jupiter. So this is our Jupiter Cazimi. This is happening on June 24th when Jupiter enters the heart of the sun. So even though Jupiter in Cancer is a year-long transit, there are a handful of extra juicy moments, and we're seeing the first one right here. So this is the Sun Jupiter Cazimi. I don't think we'll get a second one next year. We won't. So this is the one and only. This is the one and only Jupiter Cazimi while it's in Cancer. So get your candlesticks ready. You want to capture this. You want to capture this moment. You do. And this is going to be one where we're dropping into some of the most insightful things that this transit can offer. Cazimis are seed planting. This is a new idea, a new perspective, a sense of inner knowing, like feeling called towards something. So I want you to pay attention to that. This could be an awareness of where your blessings are. This could be an awareness of where love is sourced in your life, where a sense of abundance is sourced. This could be bringing wisdom to you around your relationship with abundance, what that looks like, how to create it, how to propagate it. Wisdom around nourishment, wisdom around community. And this is one where I would really encourage you to be in conscious relationship with this aspect, like intentionally sit in quiet reflection, intentionally put some prayers up, some prayers of protection out into the world to the people and places that need it the most. And this is a time to also really just count your blessings. Like, to be in conscious relationship with Jupiter is to have gratitude, and it's gratitude that begets happiness. So you could be in some of the worst places, worst situations, but you still need that Jupiter to get you through. Like, you still need to find that gratitude to get you through. So it doesn't excuse the shittiness and the pitfalls, but it's going to elevate and get you through. And I just keep coming back to how much with Saturn and Aries right now, like, we need to grab the reins. We can't trust the systems to do it for us. And it really does start locally. And I love what astrologer Rick Levine says around think cosmically, act locally. So I want to leave that with you here. This is what I got for our 2 weeks of this Sagittarius full moon influence. I think it's going to be a little wild, but I also think it's going to be so insightful, with an emphasis on soul nourishment as well as like physical nourishment, emotional nourishment, everything that Jupiter in Cancer wants to create an abundance of, which I've said it before and I'll say it again. Jupiter in Cancer has so much to do with the wealth of relations, like who's in your corner, who advocates for you, who invites you, who makes you feel included, like whether that's family, friends, community, like that's really what we need to be leaning into. So note what wisdom is arising for you there, and note what stands in contrast to that. And I want to encourage you to have the courage to take initiative to hold that sort of nurturing, nourishing space in the world. So thank you all for tuning in with me, and I'll be sure to catch you next time. I do hope that all this planetary energy serves you in the highest. Thank you. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning in with me today. For more astrology in your world, you can connect with me on all platforms at Astro Catherine. You can also find me at catherineurban.com, where you can schedule your year ahead consultation. I'm offering a new course. Time Lords and Transits begins on August 14th. Right now, you can still get that early bird rate through the end of June. This is an 11-week mentorship where I'm going to teach you everything I know about how to layer annual perfections and transits together in order to elevate your understanding of what time it is in your life and in the lives of your clients. So for more information, you can find that at catherineurban.com, where you can also sign up. And I look forward to connecting with you in class or here or in session soon. Bye.